jaywalking is illegal. But let's be honest, we all do it. How did something that the majority of people do on a daily basis become a crime, with potential fines of up to $250? The obvious answer is pedestrian safety. And sure, we'd like people to not get hit by cars, but the real answer is more complex than just that. The invention of jaywalking never had pure intentions, and we feel those repercussions every time we use a crosswalk. Or rather, don't use a crosswalk. Before cars, the streets were a more central place for daily life. Pedestrians, vendors, streetcars, even kids at play, all shared the road. People would just dodge traffic obstacles, a practice so common, the Brooklyn baseball team was named after it. By the 1920s, the automobile had become a popular choice among wealthy joyriders. And with that, the number of people killed by cars rose too. Public outcry grew against these wild Jay drivers. The name doesn't come from Jay Gatsby, although that's weirdly fitting, and they sure could have used some car regulations in that story. The word Jay comes from Midwestern slang, also meaning rude. I also didn't know what that meant. It means country bumpkin. The idea is that they don't belong in a city or don't know how to behave there. The origins of Jay being used like this can be found in 1905, published in the Kansas City Star that criticized the new reckless Jay drivers. That same year, the paper would also be the first to publish the term jaywalker. The backlash against quote-unquote pleasure cars gave way to action from anti-automobile activists. In other words, cue the angry mobs. By 1923, 42,000 people in Cincinnati signed a petition to limit cars to 25 miles per hour. The threat of regulation sent the auto industry into a frenzy, organizing a well-funded and massive campaign to crush the plan and jumpstart the publicity crusade for cars to take over the streets once and for all. One example was the 1928 Model Municipal Traffic Ordinance, which outlined the stricter pedestrian rules that we're familiar with today. Groups also led safety campaigns across the country to teach pedestrians about the newly invented term jaywalking. Leaflets were distributed by street corner Boy Scouts en masse, explaining and discouraging the practice. Yep, that's the old joke, right? Boy Scouts helping people cross the street? Those who did not abide by the new rules were publicly called out. Department store Santas shouted from megaphones. Clowns portraying jaywalkers took on ridicule. Judge impersonators held mock hearings for rascally kids who ran out into the road. Something that used to be totally fine to do, believe it or not. Developing a culture of shame was the most important tool in reframing street safety as the responsibility of the pedestrian. The auto industry won the right of the road and sacrificed walkable streets at every turn. Literally, every street turn. But after a century of jaywalking, cars may finally be losing their ownership of the roads. Even in Kansas City, remember where jaywalking got its official name? Voted to remove its prohibition of jaywalking in 2021. Our car-dominated cities do not benefit the majority of the people that live there. They were made this way to benefit the car industry. 78 of Americans admit to jaywalking. And with 90% of jaywalking tickets issued by the NYPD targeting Black or Hispanic people, the disproportionate enforcement of this law results in outright harassment. And in the end, building up walkable spaces will save more lives than enforcing jaywalking. That being said, please look both ways before you cross the street. Or maybe this will be it when I get the ticket. They're like, get out.